Darien, are you there?
I'm here.
All right, let's go. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to the Unleash Your Full Potential in the Workplace interview series. I do hope that you are enjoying this summit. Now, this is an amazing opportunity for you to share, for you to learn and to grow, and to implement these ideas so that you can achieve success in your career and also in your life. I promise you that if you take away just one action and you implement that action, then that can make a difference in your personal and professional development. I am your host, Corliss Charles Sutton, and I am bringing to you over 25 leadership experts to share their expertise and genius with you. And all of them are electrifying. This speaker that I'm going to introduce you to, he is so passionate about what he does. And one of the things that I've realized about our speakers is that they all are passionate. So if you take away one thing from this entire summit, is igniting your passion. Once you love what you do and you're passionate about what you do, that is one of the catalysts for success. A couple of reminders. The replays of these videos are for 24 hours. But if you would like to have unlimited access, I've got you covered. You can receive unlimited access if you click on the VIP button. That gives you unlimited access over the entire summit and allows you to be able to replay at your convenience, at your leisure. You just have access to the entire platform. And that is what I'm encouraging you to make sure you take up that offer. The other thing that we've got here, we also have a Facebook group. So please join it, because what happens is that after our interviews at 5 p.m. Eastern, we are on live. And you will be able to ask the leaders questions, have real life conversations on situation that you may be going through. You can use that platform to get further information. So don't forget to join the group so that we can have this rapport, build this rapport and have this conversation. So today I've got a great speaker with us. His name is Darien Claxton. Welcome, Darien.
Good to see you, Corliss. Thanks for having me here.
Great. Let me tell you a little bit about Darien. Darien is a dedicated husband, father, ministry leader, and full-time business owner who empowers individuals to discover their God-given potential to transform lives on an exponential scale. Through his digital marketing company, Claxton Solutions, Inc., he has helped pastors, ministry leaders, entrepreneurs of faith create, promote, and launch profitable online offers. As a church elder, he is passionate about ministering to individuals of all ages through mentorship, teaching, and counseling. He is the host of Faith, practically a live podcast featuring conversation with experts of numerous fields. And many of you who are on Facebook will see him from time to time. And of course, you can follow him from here. But Darien is a man of God, and he has grown faith for others within this practical world. Welcome, Darien, to our platform.
So glad to be here, and inspirational just hearing, seeing what you're doing, and thankful to be a part of it.
Great. So Darien, tell us a little bit about your background and your success journey.
Sure. And full disclosure, as you said, I am a full-time entrepreneur, but I also understand the principles that are useful in the workplace because I'm someone who graduated with a degree in computer information systems. Now, listen, check this out. I graduated with a degree on programming. I never once got hired for that skill set. Never once. I applied tons of places, never got hired for that. I got hired for something else and had to use my art of negotiation, my God, of presenting value, which we'll talk about today, to get to where I want it to be, right? And so I have my company right now, when we do marketing, we do promotion, those same principles of selling apply in your career. And we're going to see the value of utilizing those, not just because you're a salesperson, not just because you're a business owner. In your career, you can sell yourself and you can be successful. And that's what we have discovered in our business. I've been in this for 10 years now, and it's been a blessing learning the value, particularly when we bring biblical concepts into it, the value of selling ourselves every day of our lives.
And that is amazing. And thank you for almost moving into the topic. So today, my lovely audience, Darien is going to share with us about the power of negotiation. And as he has indicated earlier, you as corporate professionals or professional women can negotiate. It's about the how you go about it. But I don't want to step in Darien's field. But Darien is going to share with you the pros and cons of how you can influence the change you want to see. So over to you, Darien.
Sure. Thank you so much. And I know this is a women's conference. I am a man. I don't understand the challenges that women deal with in the workplace from a personal level. Now, I am married to a woman of color, a Black woman who has lamented the challenges of being a woman in the workplace. So I cannot speak from that space. I am speaking from the space of negotiation because I realize that because of the systems in place that I always call it systemized misogyny that you see in the workplace, there is a lack of perceived value for women in the workplace, right? And so here's what normally happens. You're in the workplace, you're underpaid or you're overworked or both. And you feel like you need to increase your value so that people will either give you the raise that you want, or they will give you the respect that you want. They will give you the place that you want, right? So my wife, she's an attorney, so she understands. She's told me about situations where she is leading a meeting and people come in and they're addressing the man in the room as if he's the one who's in charge, right? Even though they've been corrected over and over again, she is always looked upon as inferior from a leadership standpoint. And many of you can probably resonate with that. And so you may think, well, let me go out and get another degree. Let me go out and get some more training. Let me present myself in terms of what I can give to the company so they can have better value of me, so I can increase my value to the company. The problem is not your value. Right? Women are, in many cases, overqualified for the positions. You have enough value. I'm not saying to stop reading and stop improving yourself, but I'm saying a lot of the time and emotional, mental investment that you are putting in to increase your value is going to waste. Why? Because people don't hire you because of your value. They hire you because of your perceived value. What problems can you solve for them? This is my expertise. As digital marketers, what we're doing is not presenting the value of something. We're creating a perceived value in the minds of our prospects so that value is greater than whatever price we're asking them to pay, right? So if we're giving them all of these things and we're saying, this is going to have this effect on your marriage and this effect on your career and this effect on your health and this effect on your relationships, and that is worth X amount of money, $50,000. If I'm charging $5,000 for it, it is a far more palatable than me giving you $1 for a dollar exchange, or me giving you 50 cents and you give me $1 back. Like it makes no sense. So the same thing goes in the workplace. They are hiring you because of your perceived value. So the investment of energy should be, how do you increase your perceived value in the eyes of prospective employers if you're looking for a new position, in the eyes of your current employers if you're looking for a raise, in the eyes of your subordinates or your contemporaries if you're looking for greater respect, a greater command over your team where you are able to be more effective because your perceived value is higher. So how do we do that, right? Again, if you're increasing your value, you're spending time outside of work when you want to be with your family, you want to do a side hustle, you want to be doing ministry things, and yet here you are stressing on how you can increase your value to people who are not going to accept that value. right? They don't care how many degrees you make. They're still going to talk down to you or still pay you the way you are, right? Because a lot of people, most people in the workplace have an average perceived value. So what that means is there are people who probably could be legitimately fired from their jobs, right? Because they're doing just enough in the eyes of their employers, of their bosses. They're doing just enough to get by. That's the perceived value is average, right? And the only reason why those people are not fired is because the company views it as a bigger expense to fire this person and to bring in somebody else and to train somebody else who statistically might bring the same value. So they say, well, we'll keep this person along because the replacement value of the next person coming in is not significant. Well, the reason why a lot of you may not be promoted is because of the same thing. They see you as an average perceived value. And so the upside of giving you more money is very minimal, right? So our jobs in the workplace, your job is to have your perceived value and your actual value to be as close as possible. So here's what happens when you have more perceived value than your actual value. Those are the people in your job who are condescending, who are snobbish, who don't belong in the position. They've been given a raise, they've been given all this power, and everybody knows they don't deserve that position. They themselves know they don't deserve it. So how do they respond? They respond trying to justify their position. So they may make life a living hell for you if you're working for them, right? They may try to steal your ideas if you are in the same niche, in the same department, right? So higher perceived value than actual value, you have those individuals who are very difficult to deal with in the workplace, where your spouse is hearing about this person every time you come home, your children, your friends, those are people you're talking about. This particular person, I can't stand him, I can't stand her, because their perceived value is higher than their value, right? And then many of you fall into the other side where your perceived value is lower and you're constantly trying to convince people. So here is how you increase your perceived value so that it lines up with your value. You have to speak to a place of pain. Again, this is a marketing principle. Most people who are applying for a job or trying to convince their boss for a raise are coming at a place of pleasure, right? What did that mean? That means, like everybody else, they are trying to show how they are going to produce better results. It is worth giving me a raise because I can give you this, 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 and this, right? I can give you this proficiency with these particular platforms, these software platforms. I know how to do this particular report. I know how to organize this particular thing. I have experience with this particular level of management, right? And so these are things that are pleasure. We call these pleasure, moving towards pleasure versus moving away from pain. So I'll give you an example of how this works psychologically. If you are at a busy intersection, right, in a major city, and somebody on the intersection says, hey, I've got free $100 bills. Come get your free $100 bills. Most people are going to be skeptical about that person because that sounds too good to be true. This person who I don't know, who I don't trust, is trying to move me to a place of pleasure. So I'm like, if I get close to this person, are they going to rob me? Is there going to be some kind of catch? There is a level of skepticism whenever we see somebody who is trying to give away some pleasure, right? So how to make $1 million in 3 days. Right? You'll hear these kind of things, and some people will take those, but in most cases, you need to move people away from pain. So imagine in that same intersection, you are coming out of your job, right? And you're dressed nicely and you have a whole bunch of things. You're running to your next appointment, right? You're running to your car, or whatever the case may be, and you fall and you trip and all your stuff is all over the intersection, right? And somebody comes to you and offers you assistance. Can I help you up? Can I help you gather your things that you dropped? You are far more likely to accept help from this stranger than you were to accept the deal of the person who said, I'm gonna give you a $100 bill, right? If God forbid you have a health crisis when you fall down, you hit your head, you're seeing stars, right? And somebody comes to you, hey, can I call 911 for you? I don't have my phone. You would give them your phone, and if there was a password on the phone, you would give them your password because this person is going to help you get away from pain. So this is the mindset shift where you are entering negotiation, not on what you can do for the company, because it is about the payoff, right? They're hiring you because you are giving the company a higher chance of making more money. But at the end of the day, they're going to move off of your ability to solve a problem and alleviate pain. What does that mean practically? That means you're doing research. Many of the jobs that I had when I was negotiating for trying to get into a position that spoke to my strengths as a computer programmer, I had to do research on the company to see what problems did they have that they needed my skill set for. Right, so they're hiring me to be on the phones. I had one job where I was literally hired to be on the phone. And I had after 2 days of being on the phone, I had no desire to continue to go in every day talking to people on the phone, right? So there was a perceived problem that I saw regarding their automation, right? A lot of their people who were running numbers, crunching numbers, they were spending tons of time creating templates over and over and over again. I realized this by asking questions. I changed the questions I asked. So I didn't ask, hey, what time is a lunch break? Or, hey, did you see the game last night? I asked, hey, what are some of the challenges that you're having? You know, what are some things as an employee, right? What are some challenges that you're having? I would go around, and what it did a couple of things. Number one, it got me informed on what are some things that I can position myself, or I can position the conversation around my ability to solve those problems that I'm seeing. So that's number one, right? I'm able to position myself and show that I can solve a problem. Number two, it demonstrated genuine interest in the well-being of the company. When I entered interviews, I had questions for the interviewer, right? And then when I've been on the other side, I've conducted several interviews, I've made hiring decisions. If I asked the person, do you have any questions for me? And they said no, almost guaranteed they were not going to get the job, in my opinion, because there's no separation, right? What is separating you from the next person is the person who is willing to do the research, and particularly after you've been hired. So maybe you do the research before you get hired, before that initial interview, and you're negotiating from a place of strength because you see this company has a problem that you can solve. Great, you're able to leverage that and get into this position. But you have to continually do that, right? You are continually trying to raise your perceived value by continuing to analyze where are places in my workplace that I can provide value that eliminates pain. It could be from a relationship standpoint. Maybe one team doesn't want to talk to another team, and ball is being dropped because there are these barriers of communication. This person doesn't like this person feels intimidated by this person. Can you be a bridge, right? So from a business standpoint, we know that the money is always made in the middle, right? And the meaning, if you go to a site like Expedia.com, right? Any of those sites, Expedia, to get your travel tickets. That is not a site that sells airline tickets, right? What are they? They are someone in the middle. They bridge the people who want to get to where they want to go. They want to buy a ticket to fly across the world or fly across the country to the airlines who are looking for people to fill their seats on their plane. So the money is made in the middle, whether you're providing a solution for someone from a coaching standpoint or in the workplace, your place is in the middle. I'm able to bridge these two teams that are unable to communicate. I'm able to eliminate the time it takes for this particular person, whether or not they're in my department, to do their job more effectively. So when you're going to your boss, to someone who is making a decision, you are showing them that your ability to alleviate pain is far greater than anybody else they would hire, right? That is the confidence that you need to have. And I'm sure other people on this conference will speak about belief systems and the idea that you need to be a better person. Be, do, have, like those are other concepts I speak about. I'm sure others are speaking about. You will find that when you're able to separate yourself and you're able to go into that room confidently and say, if you were to promote or hire somebody else, it is going to cost some money, the company money. If you hire anybody but me or promote anybody but me, it is not going to be profitable for the company. So I look at it like this. I say that if my perceived value, if I'm spending more time, if you're spending more time in increasing your perceived value, first of all, it's a lot less energy, right? Because you're just asking questions and you're making conversations on how you can bridge the gap, right? As opposed to getting another degree, right? And taking all these courses of information that you don't need. And I'm not saying that you don't need to better yourself. I said it before. I am saying that the energy is spent on how you can solve those problems. And so now what you get is extra time. So because you're spending the time increasing perceived value and being comfortable, being confident in your current value, now you have more time to invest in increasing the level of value that you operate on. Everyone operates in the workplace, in the business place, on 4 levels of value. And this is not, if you've seen, there are a lot of people who speak about these 4 levels. It's common knowledge, right? There are 4 levels. The first level is implementation. So in your job, in your workplace, there are people that implement. They do the thing. So if it is a factory, for example, you have the folks who are in the admin, folks in the office, folks in the CEO positions, and you have those line workers doing the dirty work. The person at the implementation level is using their muscle, their physical muscles, or they're using their time, exchanging time for money. They have no influence over anybody else except their own work. Somebody in a retail position, somebody in a fast food restaurant, or somebody on a call center, right? That is the lowest level. So if you are at that level, right, you need to be negotiating on your potential value to that company at the next level up. So the next level up from implementation is unification. Unification uses your management skills, your ability to manage unifiers, right? So you are going to be constantly looking for jobs at that next level where I can say, my time is worth more to you, the employer, if I am managing as opposed to implementing, if I am directing and strategizing and managing as opposed to doing the grunt work, right? Those 2 are always going to have a cap on your money, though. Now, again, I'm an entrepreneur, so I'm always thinking on a space beyond that because God created us to be more, right? Every person in the Bible was a business owner. If you weren't a soldier or a priest or a member of royalty, like an average citizen, they had a business, they had a hustle, right? And so if you're spending all of your time on your job, 60, 70, 80 hours a week being an implementer, right, making $20,000, $30,000, or a unifier, a manager can make up to $300,000, but that company owns you. There's no way to scale more time. And so you're coming home stressed. You're coming home to your husband's looking at you funny because you have no desire to do anything else after the day that you have had, right? So you're looking to level up to the next level. So the next level from unification is communication, where instead of using your muscle or your management skills, you're using your mouth to make money as you speak. Oprah Winfrey is a great example. Oprah Winfrey is an example of someone who did not have celebrity status, right? When she started, right, there's this feeling like, well, who am I to be an author, to be a singer, to be someone of influence? I'm just this person, and you feel like you're defined by your job. The communicator is able to use their mouth, their influence on social media, their influence as a writer, as a creator, as a coach, even outside of your discretionary of your 9 to 5, they're able to utilize that and make millions of dollars potentially, right? So if you are stuck at a management level and you're saying, I'm tired of this, how can you demonstrate your perceived value as someone whose voice, someone who can bring influence from a higher level? And the very highest level is imagination. That is those who use their minds. There are people at your company who are getting paid simply to have brilliant ideas. And I guarantee you, in most cases, they don't look like us, and they're men. All right, right? In a lot of cases, why? Because of perceived value, right? And so even though we acknowledge there are disparities, and there's disparities in gender pay gap and et cetera, you can still present your perceived value such that your mind is worth more to the company than your muscle, than your management skills, even your mouth, right? So someone who is an ideator is like a Steve Jobs, right? Steve Jobs, who died over almost a decade ago, is still the person we think about when we think about Apple, right? Someone who is an investor, a stock investor, right? They're using their ideas on money, how to generate money. The ones who actually succeed, who actually are able to predict the flow of money in the marketplace, those are people who are at a high level, a level of imagination. So again, as you increasing your perceived value, you're showing the company, my time is worth more to you as a company if I am not using my muscle, but I'm using my management skills. Or I'm not using my management skills, I'm using my mouth. Or if I'm not using my mouth, I'm using my mind. And the more you're able to increase that perceived value by speaking to a point of pain, right? By speaking to what you have researched, what you have seen, the questions that you are asking will create a better outcome that allows your value to be increased in the eyes. And so when you go in and you ask for a raise and you say, hey, this is what my time is worth, here's what I'm being paid right now, here's what it needs to be. They will say, hey, your perceived value is here and we're paying you here, let's make that gap. As opposed to we're paying you here and your perceived value is here or lower, that conversation will always be kicked down the road.
So Darien, we've got to wrap up pretty quickly, but in organizations, especially in the corporate place, persons are afraid to negotiate. They are afraid that if they speak up, then their manager or the company will say, okay, I can find somebody else, especially in a space where there is limited jobs and limited employment. What is the one thing you would say to those persons if they've got to do some form of negotiation? What is the one thing you will say to them?
So I don't believe in hard selling. And when we think about the concept of sales, it's uncomfortable, or being a seller, because we think about the worst experience we had, whether we got taken for the car that we bought, right? We think about that when it comes to sales. So when it comes to negotiation, we project that and it creates anxiety in our mind. So you're like, if I go in and demand a raise, I'm going to shake the apple cart. They're going to look at me sideways. They're going to say, as you mentioned, I'm going to find somebody else who is willing to do the work at this price. You're not coming in from the perspective of fear. You're not coming from the perspective of even hard selling. Your method of negotiation is asking questions and doing research. That's it. The more questions that you ask about what's going on in the company, about what are some problems that the company is having, and presenting solutions without the fear of someone taking your idea. You remember the story of Joseph, right? Joseph in the Bible, he could have had a fear that if I go to Pharaoh and tell him how to solve this problem of the 7 years of famine being followed by the 7 years of plenty, he might give it to somebody else and they might throw me back into prison. No, he just did what God told him to do. He spoke that word. And then what did Pharaoh say? Hey, you are the best man for the job. How about you go and do it? When you present ideas from a place of, I want to solve a problem, not a place of what I need, because that's the problem in negotiation, right? For negotiation to work, both parties have to have something of value to bring to the table. If all you're saying is, I want more money, they're like, what's in it for me? If you're saying, I see a problem and I'm able to solve that problem and move you away from pain, now you've increased your end of the table. So when the negotiation happens, you are not coming from a hard place of, I need more money, I'm going to walk out. Of course, they're going to let you walk out. You're saying, I see an issue, I see ways, I talk to this person, and I know that I can bring value at this level. I hope that helps.
Good, good. Well, thank you very much for that. So, Darien, I know you've got a few offers. Could you share your offer quickly, please? Sure.
And the link's going to be in the chat or below here. It is unleash.claxtracksolutions.com. A lot of what we mentioned here is a very small portion of what I would have to share. And this particular download is called 3 Mistakes That Are Keeping You Stuck in Your Career and How to Get Unstuck. Right. And so this is laying out a lot of what we talked about here today, but even some more details on the power of negotiation, on the power of separating yourself from the pack. Because if the company feels like they can pay you a certain amount of money and be satisfied, they're going to pay you the minimum. Once you start to show that your value, you can get unstuck, and they're going to realize, I need to pay this person, either out of fear of them walking away or out of fear of what the lack of their skill set being implemented will have on the company. So this particular download, which is a PDF document, fairly meaty, will definitely give you some strategies on how to get unstuck and get unstagnated in your career. Great. So there you go, my listening audience. Please click on that link below. I love where Darien is coming from. Thank you so much, Darien, for your presentation today. And I also love what you've got in that free offer, which is ways in which you can become
unstuck. Thank you so much, my listening audience. I hope you did enjoy this particular interview series. Feel free to join us Facebook Live, 5 p.m. Eastern, later on this evening, where Darren will be able to share even a bit about that, how you can become unstuck. So great. Thank you so much. Until our next interview series. Bye for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.